What's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Baltimore Sports Foul Ball Talk, brought to you by Great Eight Sports Memorabilia Network. I'm the host, Matt Trigger. With me, as always, is my co-host, Tim Malarkey. Tim, what is going on, buddy?
Matt Birdland, what's up, people? What an exciting two series. We'll get rolling, but
Yes, it was.
I am overly pleased. Today was a little bit of a disappointment, but um, I would have been extremely surprised to have a back-to-back sweep of the Rays, especially at Rays, and then the Braves at home. So I'll take it. Of course, we'll take 5 out of 6 any day. Some really good ball
It was
was
six
played.
out of seven.
Or I'm sorry, 6 out of
Tampa Bay was
7, 4 and 3.
It was a 4-game
Yep,
series.
6 of 7.
Yeah, that was a really good week-long stretch going into what could potentially be billed by some, as I've saw all over social media today, a potential World Series preview. And I know it's insane we're talking about this in the first or the second week of June. But the Phillies are here for the weekend series starting tomorrow night, and they are trotting out their 1 through 3 starters, as are we.
Yeah.
So this could be a very telling series, especially given how both teams are playing.
Yeah, I was going to interject when you said that people were talking about how the Brave series was a potential like World Series preview. I think that this Philly series looks like a World Series preview. I mean, to start, Saturday and Sunday are sold the hell out at the Yard. If you go on Orioles web, I mean, you can get secondhand tickets right now, but if you go on Orioles website, sold out. It's blacked out. Standing room only, Saturday and Sunday. There's still some tickets left for tomorrow night, so it's going to be a packed house. Wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of red in there, but it's going to be a very exciting series. A lot of all-stars on that Phillies team. And like you had mentioned, this pitching matchup, it just has that first 3 games of the World Series vibes. I mean, Phillies trotting out Suarez, Walker, and Wheeler. We're trotting out Bradish, G-Rod, and Burns. It doesn't get much better than that. It is going to be a spectacular weekend of baseball, and what perfect timing too on a Father's Day weekend. You got to love it.
Yeah, just the I know a lot of our viewers and listeners probably will either be attending or want to attend. Uh, I got caught in the downtown traffic in Baltimore City at one of the jails, and we had to get back to Jessup, so we had to go through the city. And the car shows here. It's United States Navy Fleet Week, and the Phillies are coming to town, and they were just letting out of the Atlanta Braves game when I was heading back down south. So it's going to be jam-packed in the city all weekend long. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere, playoff vibe. The city is jumping right now, and it's just great to see how this team, who the last couple of shows we've done have been a 500 ball team in some instances, with their series and all, but now week.
No, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Just driving home from work today and driving around, it was, I mean, everywhere was traffic was horrendous. So we got a loaded city, a studded team coming in, the Phillies versus us, and we're like the world's been put on notice. I was just laughing last night sitting on the couch. I mean, we got talked about on ESPN. I don't know, like 3 of their 5 baseball segments over the course of 2 hours. So we're not the baby birds anymore. Everybody knows about us. We got a big old red X on our back. So I love it. I'm ready for it. I know our team's hungry. I know our guys love it. They love the attention. They want to be known. They want to be, that team that everybody fears and is talked about. So going to be a great weekend. And then, we got the Yankees following that up. So we're in for a solid I guess it would be 7 days of baseball because our one off day is Monday. So
Yeah, th that just the comment just caught me off guard. Not the comment itself, but, StreamYard updated their, projecting of comments, and that was extremely big on the screen. I don't know where that came from. Um, yeah, so that was pretty cool to see just now.
yeah, I'm ready. And if anyone's in attendance this weekend, I'll be at the yard Saturday and Sunday. You'll see me trotting around with my cane. So holler at your boy, say what's up. We'll be there. Section 34 is where you'll find me.
It's gonna definitely be a good weekend for some baseball. Um, this team is starting to hit, and they're hitting consistently, and it's not just the long ball. The last couple of nights, I don't want to say the entire Atlanta Braves series, we didn't live and die by the long ball. I know we lost today 6-3, but I I was impressed that we're playing some situational baseball. Advanced idea of this team being much more than just home run hitters.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that is the situational baseball, small ball, if you will, has been there and has showed up. We're getting a lot more consistency, which is a great thing to see. But it's still funny to me, Matt, how like yesterday's game, you know, we're being consistent. We're having those good at bats, and then what does it take to get us back in the game and secure it a little bit is a Cowser home run. And then today we fell behind, ended up losing still, but what is it that got us back in it and kind of, you know, brought some life back to us was a Stowers home run. So it's great to see the fact that not only now are we being consistent and playing small ball, we still have that deadly weapon of these guys are going to hit a home run. And it's kind of like a saving grace almost, like you have that in your back pocket. And not a lot of teams in baseball can say that. In fact, we're number one. I think a lot of people know that. We are the leading home run team in the league. If that doesn't surprise anyone. But yeah, bats looked great.
They did. I do agree with you, and it is nice to see a lot of other contributors other than the normal guys we talk about. It's great to see Cows breaking out of the slump of the of hitting home runs. He was kind of on that hot pace to start the year. He cooled off considerably for about 6 weeks, but now he's kind of got that monkey off his back, and he can go back to being the hitter that he wants to be. So Stowers is producing when he gets in the lineup. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these guys progress because now we're getting into the meat of this gauntlet, so to speak, that we've been talking about for the last month, on our shows. So, we got the Phillies and the Yankees coming up. I think that we proved ourselves to be capable of beating excellent baseball teams, and taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta helps us with that. But if we can take 2 or 3 from the Phils, and we can give the Yankees, get the Yankees 3 out of 4, if we can scrape out of this next week with maybe 2 or 3 losses total, I'm confident in where we head on to the end of June.
No, I agree. Real quick before I lose this train of thought and we run away, you alluded to it a little bit with Cowser. While it was nice to see the home run and to see he got that triple in the, I don't think it was the first game of the Braves. I think it was the Rays series. He had that nice triple. And he's been struggling. And the sad part is with those 2 big time hits, that home run and that triple. Lots of talk going back and forth online about it. Just wanted to run this by you and just see what you think and see if what we were seeing now is him snapping out of it. Fingers crossed, but kind of get your opinion on it. Is Cowser's hitting 188 since May 1st. He's 21 for 112, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 37 Ks. I actually saw someone talking about it. Oh, there he is in the comments. Mr. Zach Moore was talking about it on Twitter. Shout out Pigtown Sports. What do you think? Is it a ride it out situation? Is it a send down situation? My opinion on it is that he's here to stay. He's here to play. They're going to ride him into the sunset. But I think that those two big hits over the last series is a good sign, but the numbers still since May 1st are pretty ugly.
I think this is a ride it out situation. I think he's warranted the opportunity to ride it out and correct himself. This isn't like we just called him up this year. He was here last year for a good bit, and he did this when he first got here. It's a slump. It's not a prolonged thing like it is with somebody like Cedric Mullins, where we've seen years of this now, and not just a month or a month and a half. Um, I think this will jumpstart him getting his batting average up to par. Maybe this catapults him to where he's hitting 225 or 230 by the All Star break. It's doable, but he needs to be in the lineup every single day so he can work out his kinks. He is a long term outfielder here. He is not going to be traded. He's not going to be sent back down, barring something truly catastrophic. But
right,
he does need to improve, and I think he's going to. But he has warranted that.
and
He's a good clubhouse guy.
yeah,
All that.
yeah, the team loves him. He's a goofball. I'm sure you saw. I posted it. I know it was all over social media of the zoom in of Gunner's reaction when Cowser yanked that home run. First off, Gunner's a psycho. Like that guy is obsessed with home runs just as much as he is hitting them, watching them. He was going crazy, banging on the bullpen and jumping up and down. So Cowser's a big part of this team, and I'm not taking any shade away from Cedric here. We know he is a plus defender. He has made more than a handful of highlight worthy top 10 Sports Center diving catches, wall grabs. Like he's the truth. But if you look up the defensive rating for Cowser, like he's in the 99th percentile in sprint speed to ball, aka tracking the ball in the outfield. He's in like the 98th percentile in arm strength to be able to get the ball in from the outfield. And actually, his feet per second is faster than Cedric Mullins. Cowser's fifth on the team behind Jorge, Gunner, Holiday, Westberg, and there's one more, but he's actually ranked above Cedric in those categories. So the argument that, but you need Cedric for his defense, I think Cowser has proven that he is more than capable, more than athletic enough to be out there and play that defense. If we can get his bat to come alive, we might have a tried and true outfielder that we're no longer questioning his defensive ability, comparing it to Cedric Mullins.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, long story short, he can play center field if he needs to, if we need him to. While we're talking about Gunner, I wanted to bring out something, stat wise, is Gunner's pace right now for his offensive production. He's on pace right now. It doesn't have his average, but it has all of his other key stats. But he's projected right now to hit 52 home runs, 115 RBIs, a 599 slugging percentage, 20 stolen bases, an OPS of 180, and a WAR of 11.5.
Yeah.
So,
dude is absolutely insane. You cut out there at the end. I don't know if you asked me a question or not, but just to add to that stat line that you read off, a fun fact is that Gunner has 20 home runs. Now we know it's 21, but 20 home runs in a season at 22 years of age or younger, 20 home runs in a season as a leadoff hitter, and 20 home runs in a season as a shortstop. No other player in MLB history has accomplished all three of these over his entire career, not even in the same season.
And Gunner's done it in the first 100 games of the year.
Yep.
which is incredible.
It's stupid.
It's stupid, crazy how he is just that damn good. I wanted to bring that up before I lost it, and yeah, it's he's far and away the best player on this team. He's a top 5 player in the league. I want to see him against this Philly staff. I want to see
I'm
him.
excited for that.
I want to see him take one of these guys' yard, one of these starters. I want to see him crank a home run. I don't care where it goes. If it goes into the splash zone, if it goes into straightaway center, if he hits it onto the flag court, I don't care. I want to see this dude put on a show this weekend, and it would be a great thing. Shout out again to Adley Rutschman. He's been having another great stretch. Dude is just playing out of his mind good right now. I
He's
want to
just
touch on
clutch.
some.
He's
Yeah,
he's clutch.
you call him Clutchman when we talk about him in our text messages.
Yep.
So, I want to, we'll talk about, from earlier today. There's a couple things that they talked about today that I want to touch on, other than their one segment that we are going to talk about as well. But we always talk about trades and put on our GM caps. I really don't feel the need to do that this week. And I'm not trying to have recency bias because we went 6-1, but I mean, obviously we know what our needs are, and I wanted to bring up something that I saw it came into one of my group chats. Shout out to the boys Ryan, Brian, and my brother. It was a screenshot from a site that Bleacher Report uses, and it's a trade with the Chicago White Sox, and they have us receiving Lewis Robert, and we are trading away Heston Kjerstad and Chase McDermott, along with Max Wagner and Trace Bright. Now, I don't know what they're smoking, but with the injury history of Lewis Robert and the fact that they want our second best arm, and theoretically they would want our second best arm and Heston, that's a complete non-starter for me.
Yeah, no, and the last two names that you listed are also hard-nosed for me. I mean, maybe if it was like a McDermott and a Wagner, but like I think Wagner's going to be the truth. That kid looks great. And the Heston thing, I still don't know where I'm at with that. I know I say that every week. He would probably be my front runner in who I think that they would trade away. Not saying that I want him to, because I think he's got an plus bat. He's probably one of the best hitters that true hitters, I would say, that we've seen in a while. But yeah, I don't know. Well, who was the fourth that you mentioned in that other than Wagner at the back end? Trace Bright,
it
right?
was a relief pitcher, Trace Bright.
Yeah, and he's solid too. So I especially him being a relief pitcher, and the situation the Orioles seem to find themselves in more times than not. Even though side note, even though our bullpen is actually ranked on the top end of all MLB, but that's disgusting. That is too much. I agree with you. There's no way we are selling 4 potential big league players away to get a injury prone power hitter and I just don't. It ain't happening.
If that screenshot that I was sent had Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert, I'm saying yes, but not just for Luis Robert. I don't know what these writers are on, and maybe it's because we're biased because we are Orioles fans, through and through. But I don't believe Kjerstad gets moved. I think that they have plans for him, and unless it's he's the centerpiece for a Crochet or a Skubal or somebody of that nature, I don't see us moving him. He's a number 4 prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
His
return needs to be a whole lot more than a injury prone power hitter.
He does. And the thing is, the one benefit about Luis Robert is he's under contractual control through the 2028 season. So
Yeah.
that would be essentially 3.5 and complete control seasons of him. But then you're sacrificing, you know, my boy Brian said in the group chat, we have 10 to 15, infield and outfield prospects in this organization that can be major leaguers anywhere, and you have maybe a handful of arms that are worth something, and he's the, he's McDermott's the one that you don't want to get rid of, and even Bright to a degree, like you were just alluding to.
No, yeah, all these trade things like that you see pop up on Twitter and wherever you're at, all these like predictions and stuff. I have yet to see one where I'm like, that's actually kind of fair. It seems like all of them are almost robbery, I guess you could say, against the Orioles. I don't know if that's because I'm an Orioles fan and I feel that way and I know the potential in these guys, but I still like to think that I know enough and have the numbers to back it that some of these are just ridiculous. It's almost like I feel sometimes when I'm reading them that they're clickbait. That's how ridiculous they are. I think,
I believe that they are clickbait as well.
yeah, I mean,
wholeheartedly.
I don't know. I think McDermott could potentially be used in some kind of package. I know they're still waiting on him to work on
But
his
it needs to be a
locating.
pitcher.
Right.
It needs to be a pitcher, though. You can't trade McDermott away for a position player.
Correct.
If you're going to trade McDermott away, you need to be getting an arm back. So that's why I said Crochet or Scooball is probably as close to untouchable as you're going to see. And even to a degree, Crochet, because they can ask for a king's ransom for either one of those guys. But if I'm going to include Heston and McDermott, one of those guys need to be coming to Baltimore.
For sure.
And I'm not even going to entertain anybody from Miami costing us that much, unless it's Chisholm, Luzardo, and Tanner Scott.
And then if it was those three, I expect it would have to be some kind of mega package where we would be sending, 4 prospects back that way.
Correct. So, we touched on the 2 series a little bit. We talked about our guys getting out of a slump. This is our monthly segment that we like to do on the show. This is your second iteration of On the Farm. Who is the pitcher that you have had your eye on that the fans of Foul Ball Talk might like to hear about in the minor league system?
So I am going to go with Luis De Leon. He is at Aberdeen right now. He's a big lefty. He's 6'3", 168, and he is 21 years old, so he is young. His line right now, he's thrown 11 games, 42 innings pitched. He's carrying a 3.43 ERA. He's walked 16 to 59 strikeouts. So that should tell you some things. He is,
it's about 4 strikeouts for every walk.
Right. His record isn't the best. I mean, that's not just on him necessarily. He's 1-3. But he's had some really, really quality outings, and his fastball's nasty. I don't know. I just really like this guy. I think he's young. He's, international. I believe he's out of the Dominica. His fastball grades out at a 60. His slider grades out at a 50. His changeup's at a 50. His notes or what he needs to work on is his control. It's only grading out at a 45, but that's typical for what you see with these young developing pitchers. Usually when they make it, they to the minors and they're trying to prove themselves, they have the stuff, they have the speed, they have the velocity. They need to work on their location, their control. It's a name that not a lot of people are talking about because he's not at high A level yet. I mean, he's in Aberdeen, but he'll get there. He'll get there for sure. He's super athletic. I mean, it's that big arm speed that you like always look for and you want, Orioles don't have the best track record at developing pitchers, especially these guys that are throwing in the mid 90s. And this guy looks like he could be it. His fastballs, if you go watch a couple films on him, I don't know what it is, but all of the hitters, they pound those things right into the ground. Like, it's either hard for them to pick up. They're early on it. They're late on it. They can't get a good eye on it. So he's just exciting. And it's been a while since we've had someone with that mid upper 90s speed that's exciting, that's coming up through our farm system. I mean, we saw Povich make his debut. Now, Povich's poise and like his control and stuff looks like he's a 3-year vet in the big leagues. Like, that guy is stone cold. But he's not high velocity.
He's our
guy.
4.
Yeah.
He's our 4, though.
He is. He's
entrenched not after 2 starts.
Right. Yep. No, he is super impressed with that. And that's like what I think is drawing me to De Leon, is just like versus looking at Povich's pitches. Like, Povich is more of a stuff guy. Like, his curveball is disgusting. He's getting like big swing and miss on that. But then you see De Leon pitch and you're like, this guy has some power behind him, and he's big and athletic. So it's, I always talk about it on the show all the time, that eye test when you just watch someone and you're like, that guy's got it. You can go watch a 30-second clip of him and be like, who is that guy? Like, he's a head turner. He's a head turner. So I'm going to go with De Leon as a pitcher. Just needs to work on getting polished up, work on his command, and barring any trades, I think that the Orioles will see him.
Do you think he'll be a 25 or a 26 kind of guy?
Probably 26. I'd like to see how he finishes off this season, if his control gets anywhere close, because right now he's a little bit all over the board, and that's dangerous at the big league level. I would say that, you know, if he starts to become polished late in this season, next year will be like his fine-tuning year, and then we'll see him in 2026.
Okay, so on the hitting side, who is a positional player that you have your eye on?
So it's funny. I actually picked this guy on the hitting side. I'm like, who's really who have I seen popping up a lot lately, and who do I really like? And I'm going through the list. I'm like, no, I can't. I don't want to give anybody that people like might be super familiar with or have already heard about. This guy might have a little bit of familiarity. Some of you might have heard the name before. And it's only fitting that I'm picking him tonight. And as of an hour or so ago, he went yard again tonight. So Judd Fabian.
Left fielder.
Yeah. Yep. And I figured I was actually talking about Zach with this, is that we have a gridlock in the infield currently active roster. You know, there's people switching out, fighting for spots. And then you look down in the farm system and the infield is jam-packed as well. That's why I wanted to go with an outfielder tonight, because I think that there is more potential for a faster call-up in the outfield currently as the roster stands. Judd right now, 242 average, 318 OBP, slugging 446, 50 games, 186 at-bats, 45 hits. He has 10, now 11 home runs.
Okay, he's got some pop.
Yeah, he's got some serious pop. He bats right, throws left, which is interesting. He's average height 6'1", 200. His grades, scouting grades, he hit graded at a 40, power at a 60. So that should tell you right there. He's got some serious pop. He's been a legit prospect since graduating high school. So it's not like, you know, he's sitting down there and he's a, can he do it? Is he going to be able to do it kind of guy? This guy's got it. I mean, he signed a $1.3 million bonus with us. So anytime you see numbers like that in the minor leagues, you know that there's something serious behind it. It's just like, I'm looking over some of the notes that I took, and I read his full scouting report today, and like circle, highlighted, and underlined is the first sentence for me that just should speak volumes for the kind of guy this is. His entire career, Fabian has displayed a tantalizing combination of power and speed. Power and speed. What is this lineup looking for? Who are they talking about us to go get in a trade? A power hitter with some speed. I don't think we'll see Fabian this year. My guess on him would be a all-star break 2025 kind of guy, late call up in to fill a hole next year, especially when we get those extra roster spots. But kid's a freak. He's a certified freak.
Now, to play devil's advocate, so to speak, with Judd Fabian, sounds great. I've watched him, on highlights and stuff like that. I'm familiar with his name. Um, and just full disclosure, you and I did not discuss this before
Nope.
the show. I told you I wanted to be surprised, just like everybody else. With the current construct of this team and what's in the minors, do you see Fabian really cracking in the big league club in Baltimore when you got all the outfielders we got now? Sands, I know Santander is probably not going to be here next year. Mullins will probably not be here next year. Hayes is debatable. He may not be here next year. But now you have Kerstad, Stowers, you got Enrique Bradfield Jr., you got Dylan Beavers. I know they all don't play the same position, but that's a lot of outfielders in this system that arguably should get the call just as well.
No, I agree. It's funny you asked that because I was thinking about that. And just like Pigtown Sports just said here, my big three for the future of the outfield is Colton Cowser. Unfortunately, I don't think Stowers will be the long term, even though he is. I think he'll get traded away. Colton Cowser, Fabian. And then I really like Dylan Beavers too. I think that those three guys could potentially be the big three 2-3 years down the road. I think Enrique is a great player. I think he is farther off than people realize from being ready. He just hit his first home run. He's got the speed, but I'll back that by saying Judd, just so you know, has 32 steals in only 100 and had 32 steals in his first 142 minor league games. So he's fast. He's got the speed. That big three that I came up with, I would interchange Beavers and Fabian in that spot. I would love to see Heston stick around and be out there, but I don't think they trust his defense yet compared to some of these other guys.
I hate to pigeonhole Kerstead. Something tells me if he's here past this trade deadline, I think he's here for a while, at least considerably. I think Heston becomes our next first base / DH kind of guy. I don't know what Mountcastle's future is going to be here. It's 50-50 depending on how he defends it, finishes the year. He's currently on pace to be an all-star. And I'm not saying this for rage bait or anything like that. If we wanted to extend Mountcastle, we had the opportunity to extend him the last couple of years. And maybe this year being a potential all-star, we may do that. He's a great first baseman. Now that might mean, Kerstad does get jettisoned for a big league arm. He's a focal point of a trade. We just talked about that a couple of minutes ago. But this is a good problem to have. And while we're on the topic of minor leagues, Kobe Mayo just started his rehab stint. He's going to be back into the swing of things, especially if the power is still there and he's not feeling the side effects from the cracked ribs.
He had a double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mayo's back. I don't see us trading Mayo. I think he's our next power hitter to come through the minor leagues for us, like just raw power, that type of ordeal. So this is a really good problem to have, and this is almost, I don't envy Elias's spot right now because there's a lot of hard decisions that you have to make. Um, Jackson's obviously the future at center. I mean, at second, even though he is. There's been some reports on Twitter I've seen from people that have gone to the games that Jackson Holliday's taking batting practice reps in center, and he's starting to kind of get a feel for the outfield, at least in practice. So, what does that say for
The future.
the future of second base?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you sacrifice Westberg's defense at third and move him to second full time, and then do you give the hot corner to Mayo, sacrificing defense there for the bat? So there's a lot of different things that you can talk about, and I know that we're way off on a lot of this because it's crazy we're talking about this when the Orioles are playing at almost a 670, 680 win percentage. It's almost silly that we're talking about this, but you got to.
No, it is. I mean, it's funny. It's crazy that we're talking about this. And I had mentioned, like, we have a gridlock at the infield of awaiting players. The reason I chose an outfielder is because there is less of a gridlock in the outfield, but we just rattled off 5 or 6 potential outfielders over the next 4 years, which is wild. It's absolutely wild. It's my decision obviously will change once we're going to figure out what they're going to do with Jackson. If he does end up being a center fielder, I think that it's only a matter of time before that happens. I don't know if you've looked at his numbers, but his defensive rating at second base has steadily been dropping, even at AAA. So I just think that center field would suit him well. His speed's there. We already know he's an incredible athlete. He loves the game. Once his bat's polished, he's going to become a deadly hitter in this organization.
It's interesting that you're talking about Jackson because Pigtown Sports. I'm gonna bring it back up. Would you trade Holiday for Robert and Crochet? Honestly, if I'm looking at the league right now and I'm obviously the pitchers down in Atlanta are untouchable. Cole's untouchable. Shohei is untouchable, obviously, even though he's not pitching this year. But the only pitcher I would consider moving Jackson Holiday for would be Scooball.
I do love Scooball. I might not have the popular opinion here, but Jackson's untouchable for me. I don't care.
That's fair. Now, I think Jackson's untouchable too, but here's the thing about that. If Scooball is on the table and they ask for Jackson, that's it. No other prospects, no other major leaguers.
Just straight up.
It's straight up. That's a straight up trade. Now, will we probably regret that? Yes. But
would it get us a shot to make a run at a series?
Scooball, if you have hypothetically speaking, this is pure hypothetical. If you go into the playoffs where your rotation is Corbin Burns, Tariq Scooball, Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, Cade Povich, I don't understand how we don't win the World Series.
And then your long guys in the pen are Cole Irvin, who's having a career year,
and Suarez.
And Suarez, who has a 1.61 ERA, which is the lowest in baseball among pitchers with 40-plus innings. Yeah, that's tasty.
It is, and it's almost like it's too good to be true. But the thing is, I'm not going and trading Holiday for Scooball to add to this rotation if they're not going to ink Corbin Burns long term, because that's a Bulldog 1-2 right there, and G-Rod and Bradish, you got 4 aces.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of inking Burns long term. This flew in. There's a rumor flying around. 8 years, 288 million for Burns.
Yes, please.
8 years, 288.
He's been here a half year, and I'm equating his impact on the Orioles to Roquan Smith on the Ravens. He is a complete game changer for that half of the team. He is undeniably one of the best pitchers we've had in Baltimore since Mike Mussina.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that he's the best pitcher in the American League right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be an all-star. He if he can get some more wins notched under his belt, he's a Cy Young candidate. He would join the long list of pitchers that have a Cy Young in the National and the American League. And I'll say this: trading away DL Hall does not hurt my feelings right now.
No,
Considering he is not doing very well over in Milwaukee.
he is not.
This
Joey
dude,
Ortiz is.
this Joey Ortiz is, but I mean, he is one of those infielders that had to go. I'd rather have all the infielders we got right now in the AAA and in the majors than Joey Ortiz. And it's not. I'm not saying that as a homer. I'm just saying that truthfully. I would rather have Westberg. I'd rather have Gunnar. Obviously, I'd rather have Mateo. I'd rather have Jackson. I'd rather have Norby. You know, Ortiz wasn't going to crack this team with what we got going on over here.
No, it was a Westberg Ortiz decision, and they went with Westberg.
Yeah, so I'm totally okay with that. And that's it's crazy that we're talking about this because even though the Tigers suck for the most part, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know if they're really good this year or not. I mean,
They're good. They're not.
But I mean,
Like,
a lot of teams suck to us because we're like a top 3 baseball team.
right.
But if I can get Screwball here until 28 or 29, whenever he's due for free agency, and you can ink Burns to a 6 to 8 year contract, and then you can, kick the can down the road a couple years, and then you can pay Bradish or G-Rod or whoever. Yeah, sign me up. As long as we get a World Series in there, I'm cool.
Yeah, no,
You and I are passionate about this team. Your passion is a different level, and I'll never try to fake the funk like your passion is like nearly unmatched. You're a goddamn season ticket holder for Christ's sake, and you got good seats. So it's like if you want to go down to the ballpark multiple times a month, like I don't have that in me. But yeah, if you and I have lived through 2 Ravens Super Bowls, Tim.
Yep. Not
First
a World
one,
Series.
I've never seen a World Series. We're going on 41 years now. This city is deprived of a World Series title. They need it. I would prefer a World Series title before I see the Ravens lift another Lombardi. Give me the World Series title. I want to see these dudes jumping up and down on the field at Oriole Park in early November, hoisting that trophy. Give it to me 100% before I see the Ravens win another Super Bowl.
You obviously know I'm going to fully agree with that.
Yeah.
And
I'm not pandering to you. I truly mean that. I love this team.
No, I agree. It's World Series or bust time. It's I think that I was talking to somebody about. He asked me how long I thought our window of opportunity is, and I look at the farm system and I think about it, and it's to me. I can't even call that window of opportunity until I see that first extension happen. That's where I'm at right now.
Our window is the like you're saying, the first extension. I had this conversation with somebody in a Baltimore Orioles Facebook group, which is it's mind numbing because some people are just truly stupid.
It's a very, very scary place, and some
It
people.
is. It's scary to see how some people think. Adley's going to be the first one that gets done. I wholeheartedly believe, Adley is the first chip, the first domino to fall, and I believe that we may get Bradish or G Rod done before we get Gunner done.
Yeah, I think Adley's the first chip to fall strictly based on the agent perspective of things. I sent you that list of the agents listed, and there's quite a few Boris guys, and that worries me. But
that's I want to touch on the money situation. Just like the trade stuff is getting a little bit to be a little bit ridiculous on like Bleacher Report and MLB.com, like all that stuff. I'm just lumping them all together. I saw something on my Bleacher Report app where there's unnamed MLB executives. I think it's a bunch of bullshit because they won't put names to it, but they're saying that Juan Soto is going to be the first player to eclipse the 550 million mark, nearly 600 million in free agency. And if by some dumbass way Juan Soto gets 600 million in free agency, we're not going to be able to touch Gunner.
No, yeah, that's the Soto contract is going to be make or break. Hey, my niece, what up? Hey, little Hayden tuning in. But yeah, that's that is going to be the, I don't know what you would call it, the play setter, the table maker, for that Gunnar Henderson contract. I will keep my opinions on Juan Soto short and simple. He is a very good baseball player, and that is about the only thing you will hear me say about him, and that is nice.
That dude's a douchebag.
Yeah, other than that, he can kick rocks, and we don't even need to go down that path. But what Soto gets is going to have a direct influence on Gunnar Henderson. Harper.
Getting some love from the nieces, huh?
The fam is tuning in. That is
yes,
for sure.
It is. It's always a good thing to see. I'm sure my daughter's gonna be watching if she already isn't. But before we get to the last segment, Jason and Tim mentioned Basayo being a future first baseman here, and I would honestly prefer if he would platoon DH and catcher to really just save Adley's knees and his and extend them as long as we can. I don't want to see Adley go down the Joe Mauer, Buster Posey, lane where he eventually ends up at first base.
No,
What is your thoughts on that?
So it's interesting. I think we might see another catcher make it here before Basayo out of our minor leagues. I was actually
you think it's Creed?
Hunt. Blake Hunt is having a.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Blake Hunt is having a year right now. And he's a little bit more polished than some of those young guys. So I think that if McCann were to disappear in behind the curtain, I think Hunt could fill a good role in the immediate future. That is to split time with Adley. I really like Basayo. He's got to work on a little bit of that shoe polish still, but I went back and forth with Zach about
he's
this.
20 years old.
Right, exactly. And Blake Hunt is 25, I think, 26. But I don't know. He's having a year. He looks really good. And I think that if they're yes, exactly. What Pigtown Sports just put in there, that is who he reminds me of. He would be a very good candidate to be someone that's splitting time with your main catcher, Adley Rutschman. So I think right now, as the cards lie, I think he might make it up here before we see a Basayo.
Maybe we're getting some Chris Hoiles, Charles Johnson vibes.
Chris Hoiles, man, I got a ball signed by him. He hit some beautiful home runs.
That dude was a monster. I loved watching Chris Hoiles. I think we were like 7 years old when he was here.
We were.
So, on to our final segment. We talked about this, I ran it by you earlier. This was a segment that was on the Big Bad Morning Show with Rob, Ed, and Jeremy. Um, who is the king of Baltimore sports present day? We're not talking about historically, present day. Um, Tank Davis was tongue in cheek thrown in there. He doesn't fight, consistently enough for him to be that, even though he's pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world right now. Um, the three names that kept on popping up were Lamar Jackson, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman. Before I give my side, what is your argument for this?
All right. So just so everyone watching knows, Matt and I both listen to 1057 Big Bad Morning Show, any show, honestly, on that channel whenever we're in a car. So I heard this segment live this morning. I had a lot of thought processes go through it and everything. So I'll preface this and start by saying that I know you said current day, but I do not feel comfortable calling anybody the king of Baltimore other than the Cal Ripken Jr. So I'll leave it at that. But we're talking right now. Um, we are talking present day. And I heard all sides of the argument. The Tank Davis thing, I can't get behind because your average non-sports like guru, someone that's just a casual sports fan, might not even know who that is. There was even somebody that called into the show and said that they're a boxing fan and don't know who Tank Davis is. So clearly they're not a boxing fan. That's for another day. I know Tank loves his city. He's a big part of the city. I just can't get behind it. It leaves me with two options, Gunnar and Adley. I'm sorry, Gunnar and Lamar Jackson. I think Adley is a fan favorite. He's got that good boy mentality. He did the famous spin around home plate, tear jerker kind of in his debut. Everybody loves Adley. I don't think he can be in the same conversation for the quote unquote current king of Baltimore talk between Gunnar and Lamar as it stands right now. I think that those two would be a very close tie. And then I was like, I have to make a decision on this. So what's my deciding factor going to be? And I think currently right now, I have to say that Lamar Jackson is the king of Baltimore. And the reasoning behind it is simple for me. He's put pen to paper. He's around. He is going to be here for X amount of years coming up. He's not going anywhere. He signed that contract. He has 2 MVPs. Gunnar Henderson will, barring signing the contract, he signs that contract. Gunnar Henderson will end up being the king of Baltimore. But right now, I don't even think it's fair to say it's anyone other than Lamar Jackson.
Well, that's a well thought out argument. I do agree with you on the Tank Davis aspect of it. He is not known amongst casual sports fans. He is known amongst boxing fans and diehard Baltimore sports fans. This city goes crazy for anybody that's from here that is, representing our city, and that he does just that. My two picks first before I go there, I want to address what Pigtown Sports said. Kyle Hamilton is going to be this generation's uh, darling free safety in the same vein as Ed Reed. Big comparison, big shoes to fill. I think Hamilton has the capability if he trajects on the way that his career is heading right now. When you got other head coaches in the league saying that he's the best player on this side of the ball, with Roquan Smith and Justin Madubuike hanging around here, that's incredibly high praise. But he's only been here for 2 years. He's going into his third year. We'll talk about this again in a couple years, Zach, and we can go from there. But Gunner, I agree with you. He signs a long-term deal. He's the king of Baltimore sports. It is Lamar Jackson by default. He's got the MVP accolades. He has a 750 winning percentage in the NFL. He is a touchdown machine, on his feet and through the air. He is a generational talent at quarterback.
I was
Michael
actually
Phelps.
going to bring this up.
Michael Phelps is, by all accounts, he's retired.
Right.
So it's current. But if you want to talk about Mount Rushmore of Baltimore sports figures, Michael Phelps is on the Mount Rushmore.
Of
And
course.
we can do a whole episode on that another time.
And
But
the thing about Phelps is that it was nationwide when he was making his run. Like he was the most gold medals ever. Like
right.
That's that's a guarantee. But currently speaking, active today, playing today,
it's Lamar. Now I'm going to end my thought by this. I hate the argument in itself because to be a king of a sport, you have to reach the pinnacle and win.
Yep.
And as far as I know right now, unless I'm living in an alternate universe, neither Lamar Jackson or Gunnar Henderson or Adley Rutschman has hoisted a championship trophy for their respective team playing here in Baltimore. That's just I might be a little bit hardline on that, and it might be a little bit unnecessary to say the least, but you can't call anybody a king of Baltimore. And we'll go back to what you said at the beginning. Cal Ripken, you consider Cal Ripken the king of Baltimore sports. He won a World Series. Granted, that was 4 decades ago. He won us a World Series. Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl ring. Ray Lewis has 2. They're all interchangeable as one point in time being the king of Baltimore sports.
Yep.
But I don't like crowning anybody the king of a city's sports, sports nation when none of y'all have won a championship here. That's just my 2 cents to the end of it.
No, and I agree. And the similarities between Gunnar and Jackson when you're ranking this, I read a lot about it today, just different opinions from people posting and stuff about it. The similarities are wild because we all know what happened to Jackson in the first round of the playoffs. And look what happened to Gunnar in the first round of the playoffs last year. Orioles got swept. They both have not won a championship. So I saw one person listed as there is no king of Baltimore right now. It is currently to be decided, and it is a race to hoisting that trophy. And then I had another guy that said it's a straight up tie. Go anywhere else in the country, find me 2 other players, football and baseball, that play for the same city that are widely known by not even sports fans simply on their first name. First name.
No, I hear that. And that's a phenomenon in itself. The fact that we got one of the most recognizable quarterbacks, football players, period, and we got one of the most recognizable baseball
nationally,
faces,
internationally,
nationally, however you want to say it. That is quite impressive. But I'm gonna stand on my, stand on what I'm saying, and until I see Lamar Jackson hold a Lombardi, until I see Gunnar Henderson lift a World Series trophy, there's not a king. The king is non-existent, because I know we're at an hour in the show, and maybe we should do a Mount Rushmore of Baltimore sports. But to me, far and away, the king of Baltimore sports, I know I'm more biased to football, it's always going to be Ray Lewis.
Yeah,
I don't. That's not the shit on Cal. That's not the shit on Brooks or Palmer or any of those guys. Ray Lewis was here for almost 20 years, 2 Super Bowls, and he is widely regarded as the greatest middle linebacker to ever play football. That's just me, and we can do a whole show on that, because this is something that can be discussed for hours.
Of course. No, I fully agree.
But
And I was gonna take a little baseball stab at you there because you said Ray was around for 20 years, and I was gonna laugh and say, well, Cal Ripken played consecutively for like 20 years. So
yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. And I mean, Ray and Cal should be the first two on that Mount Rushmore.
they definitely are.
And yeah,
Johnny U's right behind him.
yeah, and I'm not going to play revisionist history, but yeah, Johnny U should be there. And then that fourth spot is you can put 15 faces in that fourth spot.
There was even a good one I didn't think about that was thrown in our chat is Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, I saw Zach throw that in there. But
Matt, it's that time too. I know we're nearing the end, so I wanted to squeeze this in real quick. I got to have you play Guess That Oriole.
we got the guess of the Oriole, and then we can do our predictions for the next series.
All right. So we spoke earlier about this guy. I'll let you guess who it is, and then I'll give you a little preface on why I picked him for Guess This Oriole. This is a pitcher. What I'm about to show you is a map that shows the consistency of his pitches. So you're going to see the chart measures the up and down height and the left to right movement of these pitches. And the groupings of how consistent his pitches are leading to why he is having a season to remember, not just for our team, but him as far as the strides he's made in his career. So there you go.
Oh, here we go. So this is a pitcher.
This is a pitcher.
The fact that it says Cutter.
I'll give you a little hint. It's not an ace. It's not one of our big three, but he is big.
Would it be Irvin?
It is Big Al.
Okay.
Suarez.
Okay.
Yep. So that chart just showing his control over his pitches, what he's throwing right now, is leading to the fact that he is having not only potentially the best comeback year of any pitcher in the league. He's just doing his thing. The thing that I really like about him the most, and that I picked him this week just to talk about him a little bit and bring that up to you, is the fact that this guy can do a spot start. He can be a starter for us. This guy can be a long guy out of the bullpen. And this guy can be someone that you throw in there in the eighth inning to go get 3 outs and sort of, fill like a semi-save kind of role. This guy was pitching in Japan and Mexico for 6 years. And all of a sudden, Elias pulls this gem out of his pocket, and this guy is out here delivering absolute madness on the mound. And I said this early in the stream, and I'll say it again. Albert Suarez has a 1.61 ERA, and he is the lowest ERA in baseball among pitchers with 40-plus innings this season. Albert Suarez, Big Al on the mound.
That's interesting that you say he was pitching in Japan and Mexico, and not to open this can of worms.
Here he goes.
No, I'm not advocating for us. There is rumors that he is negotiating with the Houston Astros to join the major league squad. Yeah. And that rumor is picking up steam on multiple outlets. I saw it on X earlier today. I was like, I'm gonna throw this in. I don't want Stephanie yelling in all caps on the comment section, so I saved that for the very, very, very end. But there is at least some chatter that Trevor Bauer may be back in the major leagues by the All-Star break.
Yeah, I saw those rumors too. It'll be interesting to see if it happens.
And of all places, the Houston Astros.
That's the part that kind of catches me off guard a little bit, the Houston Astros, but we'll see.
Yeah. So prediction time, Tim. We have the 3-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies, and we have a 3-game series with the New York Yankees. So
3-3.
3-3. We have 6 games before our next show. I am going to say we finish that series, that stretch of games, 4-2. I believe we drop 1 to each team.
Okay. Man, I think just because of all of the talk online, everything I've been reading, these Yankee fans are ruthless and they are coming at the Orioles fans all across the board. They are on their high horse. They think they're the best team in baseball. I am going to say that we go 5-1 during that stretch. We drop 1 game to the Phillies. I think the Phillies kind of kickstarts or add some fire to the fuel heading into that Yankees series. And I think that the baby birds, as you will, have a lot to prove against these Yankees who are sitting pretty up at the top and looking down at us thinking that they're the best. I think our team wants to prove to the world that the best team in baseball is here in the 410.
I like it. And just to kind of add the cherry on top, I believe Gunnar goes yard in both series. So I think that when we're sitting here next Thursday night, Gunnar will have 23 bombs.
Yeah, and fun fact for anyone that is a betting fanatic or whatever you want to call it is that I read something crazy that 37% of Gunners home runs or something like that have been on Saturday games. So Saturday Phillies game, look for that ball.
There you have it, folks. That was quite the show, Tim. We will be back same time next Thursday at the conclusion of the New York Yankees series. That is a 4:05 game. We'll be going live about an hour after the final pitch. There you have it, folks. Tim, where can everybody see you being a menace?
It's being a menace. They can find me anywhere in these streets, and they'll see it. But,
the hardcore streets. I'm so sorry.
No, always a menace on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, T_Malarkey. Orioles Twitter is a great group. Shout out to the pasture. I was at that Colton Cowser game, sat in the pasture with all the cows. Lots of really good people on Orioles Twitter. So head on over, check it out. Lots of different things you can find all day, especially me just filling your phone lines with all kinds of Orioles stats.
There you have it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Next Thursday, 8 p.m. ish, we will be back live. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thank you for all the comments.